To paraphrase Chicago literary legend Nelson Algren, you never truly love a city till you can love its alleys. That must especially be true of the second city, where 1,900 miles of alleys run along the backs of buildings. Artist William Dolan explores this often overlooked network in an exhibit at Adventureland Gallery in Wicker Park.
When you're Chicagoan, it's the alley is a part of you.
Alleys have always been part of the city. In 1900, more than 98% of residential blocks had alleys. These days, it's still more than 90%.
A lot of people from Chicago recognize streets, but you'd be surprised how many people recognize the alleys. Bill is very meticulous about the detail of them, and people did recognize, what streets they were off of.
To admire Chicago's architecture, roam the streets. But to see what really fuels the city, walk the alleys.
When you grow up in the city, you play in the alley. I used to deliver newspapers in the alley when I was in high school. I used to work on cars in the alley.
Chicago disposes its garbage in the alley. L-train tracks run through alleyways. The alley connects the city as much as the street does.
You always knew your neighbor across the alley, but you didn't know the neighbor across the street.
Alleys haven't changed as much over the years as other parts of Chicago. The alley may no longer host block parties, but its connective role survives.
There's a heck of a lot more wires. That's one thing I've really noticed. There's all sorts of wires that have just been thrown up kind of willy-nilly, and it's like, it almost looks like the back of your desk.
Dolan hopes people seeing his work learn to pay more attention to Chicago's other grid.
I'm not one that used to walk down the alley a lot, but now I do, and I like it. There's a certain serenity as well. I mean, you go down Ashland Avenue now, and there's planters down the middle of the street with tropical plants in them, and it's overly beautified. But you go down the alley behind Ashland, and it's still a little rough around the edges, which is what the city always was, to me anyway.
In Chicago, I'm Avinash Chuck, Medill Reports.